You can arm wrestle for it.
So why did you choose originally to do both why did you choose to do the books in different perspectives?
From 2 points of view. Well, I never was a fan of traditional romances where you only see one side of the story. And I had just finished reading The Time Traveler's Wife, which is told from 2 points of view, and I really liked how that took the traditional pining love story thing and turned it into something more because you could see how it was the conflict from both sides. So to get the full emo picture, you had to have Sam's point of view as well, not just Grace. Yes?
Did you conceive the story kind of all as one and kind of logically break it up into the 3 books, or
you give me far too much credit. She asked if I conceived of the series as one whole piece and then broke it up. Shiver was originally supposed to be a standalone. And I got to the end of it and my editor said, you leave a lot of stuff kind of, I don't know, not taken care of. And I said, like what? And he goes, oh, I don't know, certain people who should have died and didn't, other people who did die and should have lived, and things like this. And what do you think about going back into the text and fixing those things? And I said, oh no, there's no going back, David. And he said, well, what do you think about going forward and talking about what happens afterwards? And I'm a huge fan of writing about consequences and how happy ever afters are not always happy ever afters. So that was much more agreeable. So I said, all right, I'll do one more book. But by the time I started really plotting out Linger, I already knew I was going to need a 3rd one to finish it up. So it was originally 1, and then it turned very quickly into 3 without anything in between. Yes, in the day back.
Do you usually start knowing exactly where the book's going to go, or do you have a basic idea and then get down to the details as you write?
I actually, as disorganized as I sounded before in the last answer, this will sound very organized because I will not start a book until I know the final scene. I don't need to know exactly how I'm getting there, but I need to know that last scene. It's kind of like taking a road trip. Actually, it's exactly like our road trip today. We started out in San Luis, and we drove all the way up to San Francisco, and I knew basically how to get there, but I had milestones I wanted to hit along the way, important stops like Haagen-Dazs. chocolate chip, woo! But I didn't so much care about how I got from point A to point B until it actually happened. And so I write my books the exact same way, where I have the ending scene first, and then I have milestones that I hit along the way. And usually they're Haagen-Dazs, woo! Yes?
How do you start a book? Do you just sit down and does it just come, or do you have to think about it first?
I do a lot of brainstorming before I start a book, but usually an idea hits me. I have a novel that I'm working on now, for instance, that I was stuck on a boat in the middle of a small backwater bay with people that I was very scared of, and so I was looking off into the distance trying to pretend I was somewhere else. And we were racing along, and all of a sudden a book idea hit me. And the thing is that before I wrote Lament, my debut, I had 30 unfinished novels that I had started and then abandoned in various stages, and I knew I was never going back there again. And so I made myself a rule when I was about 18 that I was never going to start a novel until I knew the end of it. And so I'll get an idea, which while you're floating around on a boat, and then I land, and then I turn up my music really loud, and I lay on the floor, and my butt cheeks rattle because the bass is turned up so loud, and I brainstorm what the end will be. And the milestones, why are you laughing? This is not a normal thing. The bass has to be really loud or it won't work. The other alternative is to get in the car and drive faster than 65 miles an hour, but that gets really expensive after a while. Since I live in the middle of nowhere and most of the speed limits are 45. So no, when I get an idea, it doesn't come all at once. It's hard work, and also before I was an author, I was a full-time artist, and so I've learned that you do not just work when inspiration hits you. You take inspiration, you duct tape her and put her in the closet, and when you're ready to work, you take her out and you're like, time to go, babe! Anyway, to answer your question, I realize it sounds a lot more insane than it was in my head. Yes?
I think I read you have 2 kids?
I do have 2 kids. Do you pity them? They have no to make it a priority. When I was an artist, sometimes I would only get 2 hours a day to do it, and that was because we established ever since they were tiny little creatures that every day after lunch they had quiet time where they had to go into their rooms and read a book or watch some cheerful Disney movie, and Mama was going to work, and if they came out and bothered Mama was going to go postal. And this has been in effect for so long that until they went up to school age, I always had at least 2 hours a day to work. And the thing is, 2 hours doesn't sound like a lot of time, but if you turn off Facebook and email and everything else, 2 hours, you can get many, many chapters done. And so I wrote my entire debut novel while working and just having this 2 hours a day to write the novel. I was working on it once a week on Wednesday. I would do my 2 hours for my writing. So, time management.
Sounds very organized.
I know, I can sound deceptively organized. You should see my desk. Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So any more homicidal fairies? I miss James.
Homicidal fairies. Okay, so in my head, there is a third homicidal fairy book. And I can even tell you that it is called Requiem.
Ooh.
Sounds badass, right? And I even know what happens in said book. However, until the cloning machine gets perfected, it's behind a couple others to be written at the moment. But one day.
Is James gonna be in it?
I'm using non-verbal answers so it can't be held against me later. Yes?
What are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? Well, I just bought The Magician's Assistant by Anne Patchett, who wrote Bel Canto, which I loved dearly, and they say that one's even better. Bel Canto, by the way, is just like Sam said in Shiver about machine guns, opera singers, and crying while cutting onions. I highly recommend it. But I just finished reading A Dirty Job, which was about a child who was born and is deaf. A little baby. She kills people by pointing at them and saying, "Kitty!" It's all that suggests. If that sounds intriguing, run out and get it. It does a little bit. Anyway, so that's what I'm reading.
Does it help you with inspiration?
Oh, absolutely. When I get
The onions.
and the crying, very much. For me, writer's block always means one of two things. Either I have taken a wrong turn in my manuscript, which means I have to go back and delete everything before I was stuck, or it means I'm not reading. If I'm not reading, I can't write. It just grinds to a halt. And so I always have books all over my house in various stages of being written. But both. I use words because I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I saw a hand way back there. Am I making it up? Oh, there you go.
Will forever be told in two protagonists or just one? And can you tell us who they are? And Kelly from Fountain says hi from Twitter.
Oh, well, hi to Kelly. And second of all, if y'all think I'm telling you anything spoiler about Forever, I know. It's not going to happen.
Protagonists.
Protagonists,
One or two.
there will be more than 0. All right, so here we go. Forever will be longer than the first 2 books.
Oh.
There is no I for the blood spatter to go over on the cover. My cover designer is very perplexed with me. There will be more than 2 narrators. There will be happier moments that have been in either of the first 2 books, and there will be sadder moments than there were in the first 2 books. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Oh, and I'll remind you that I'm a terrible person and I like you to cry. And that's all I'm going to say. Bye.